Days of February 1941, the only comfort he felt left to him was to wallow energetically in self-pity and a relentless, mealy-mouthed gloom, the comic bathos of which provided the only entertainment for his two wrens in their otherwise tedious tasks. And on top of it all, there was the bloody knock on his door that he'd been expecting. "Come!" he barked, causing the girls to simper once more. The door opened, and in stepped an RNVR Sub-Lieutenant, cap on, and gas mask bag and tin hat slung shoulder to hip over his #1 jacket. He was a tallish lad, neatly turned out, still full of the blandness of youth, thought Perkis. Another child, sent to try me, and he didn't half look a bit pale, surely not a sickly child to boot. The two young wrens, on the other hand, saw nothing bland about him at all. Their eyebrows shot up in choreographed appreciation of this rather fetching young Turk, who, even before he'd opened his mouth, had managed to brighten their day. "Gilmour, sir," he said, coming to attention, but not thankfully trying to salute him. At least he knows that much, thought Perkis, who would have been unable to return the salute as he wasn't wearing his cap. "I was told to report to you by the dock office, sir," continued the young man. "To present my papers, I am appointed liaison officer to the Free French submarine Radegonde." A cloud of deep gloom descended on Perkis at the mention of the submarine's name. He walked over to his desk and sat down, then, almost as an afterthought, gestured to Harry Gilmour to sit also. "Well, your submarine is here all right, Mr. Gilmour," said Perkis, hands splayed over his empty desk. "We've been expecting you. Well, someone at least." And then he changed his tone to something more imperious. "Radegonde's books," he said. It took a moment for Harry to realise Perkis was talking to the wrens. At the edge of his vision, Harry was aware that one of the trim girls in uniform had shot up and was retrieving something from a metal filing cabinet. The entire room seemed enthralled to the timeless clack and silence of eternal bureaucracy. Perkis's fingers drummed lightly. When Harry managed to raise his eyes from them, he was suddenly aware that Perkis had been staring at him, his eyebrows in a questioning arch. In a fluster, Harry reached into his gas mask bag. Yes, sorry, sir. My, orders, sir. Rummage. Here they are." And Harry produced an envelope. The wren arrived with documents, and Harry handed over his. Perkis began his perusals. Slips of paper were passed to Harry with a "sign these." Finally his orders were returned for handing on to Radegonde's captain. Perkis sat back with the air of a man who'd just completed a job well done, but it didn't last. His face clouded over again. There was something on his mind. Something, Perkis reflected to himself, very serious indeed. He began. "Your submarine is in dockyard hands at the moment," he said. "She's having some new boffin box fitted. You'll still have to join her right away, though, regardless of what mess she's in. It's all very inconvenient. Meanwhile, there's a matter of some urgency for you to sort out. I have no idea how you're supposed to do it, but sort it out you will. Do I make myself clear?" Not in the slightest, thought Harry. But Harry these days was too weary, too dazed to fight back. He smiled a compliant smile. Perkis's frown deepened. "There is no one to do a handover with you," said Perkis in a tone that said this was entirely someone else's fault. "Your predecessor," the latter word sneered, "did not see fit to remain with the submarine until you arrived. They docked, and he was down the gangway and off to Dundee West Railway Station. Neither us nor his Commander S received his personal report. He also left outstanding a matter of even greater gravity. He has not returned Radegonde's confidential books. I want them back in my safe this afternoon." "Where are they, sir?" asked Harry, affecting keenness. Perkis eyed him, as if assessing whether he was being made sport of. "You do know what confidential books are?" Of course Harry did, but Perkis was going to tell him anyway. "They contain all the codes and ciphers and call signs, recognition signals of the day, emergency procedures in case of emergency events, for the entire fleet, everything a German agent or fifth columnist could ever dream of. They can only ever be in one of two places, in the custody of a duly appointed and read-in liaison officer,